for realsies. My pick as best of show comes from a place. This is Whisper Mountain Outbreak, by the way. Comes from a place of games that stand out to me because I do enjoy playing a lot of the games I play with my friends. And I chose this from Toge Productions, who Nate and Julie got to talk to. Little plug for Nate and Julie. Go check out that article. Where they spoke to Chris, the CEO of Toge Productions. I've known them like just in passing for the past 13 years because I played one of their very early games called Infectinator on my phone. I didn't know back then, they'd be like that mobile games would be like, it's just a little game I play on my phone, whatever. And look at me now, 13 years later. They're an Indonesian developer, and just to name some of the games that I know personally, they've got quite a few games, but like Coffee Talk is done by Toge, Infectinator, obviously, Kriegsfront, which I know is a great game, and Divination, which is another great game from them. This is planned for release in August 11th. But just a quick little rundown of the game. This is an isometric, as you can see, co-op PvE multiplayer survival horror. A lot of words there. Where you and your friends got to work together to escape a cursed, fog-covered Mount Bisik, which is Whisper, which I've come to find out, which means whisper. And I can only assume Indonesian. It's 1998, and a mining operation on Mount Bisik inadvertently unleashed an ancient horror that disturbed a ruin deep inside the mountain. We are a search and rescue team. There's a 4-player co-op game where we have to go in and obviously search and rescue and find out what's going on and hopefully stop it. So this game is, as you can see from my gameplay, so a lot slower paced. A lot of these games will be like isometric, or a lot of the games nowadays that are isometric, you assume it's like a Vampire Survivors or like a hack and slash, or just like kind of boomer shooter type where you're just like run and gun. This is a lot slower. You can see in the bottom left of the screen there is a health but also a stamina meter. So obviously swinging your weapon, dashing, running, all of those take stamina. If you are caught with 0 stamina, you are effectively useless, which can be combated if you look at the bottom right of the screen when I'm out of this puzzle. A handgun, or a gun, which can be used with or without stamina. So that's the way I've kind of been playing. Is if I know I'm gonna run, like if I'm fighting a bunch of monsters and stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna run out of stamina soon, just switch to the gun. That's one tidbit. I'm glad it was shown a little bit here. In addition to just being very, a dark atmosphere, spooky with the monsters and everything, there is environmental scares too, which I've come to find out. I was playing this alone, I think last night. Yeah, and I heard like the screaming, and like you can see my mouse is on the screen there. And I was like pointing at the TV. I was like, what the fuck was going on there? There's one in a different level where like wheelchairs fall over when you're just like walking to the room and you're like looking around. This is very, very team focused. So you can see that in both of these gameplays, I'm not going to survive because you rely a lot on your team members. So I did get to hop in to this with the Shazame last night. We had a blast playing it, and it's one of those games that like we got like half an hour in, 45 minutes in, and we were like, oh, this game has a juice for like a group game that we hop into. Because it's more than just everyone does their own thing, and we just kind of complete things. Now, like we were both like, okay, I'm looking at this sheet of paper and it has a decipher. We got to decipher a code with this. What do you see on the screen in the other room or whatever? And we were working together doing all this, and I can only imagine what it's like with 4 people, all working at once, trying to communicate with each other. Isometric refers to style. The isometric is the perspective, basically, which is kind of like this 3/4 view of the screen. Let's see. What I come to find out today, as I jumped into the demo a couple times today solo, is that it's also randomized. So the rooms are placed in random places. The puzzles are randomized. The placement of everything is randomized. So it makes the runs a lot, more dynamic. Then it's not just like, okay, let's do the hospital level again. We know how to get in and out. And just makes it a little bit more fun that way. In addition to that, it is sort of a little light RPG where, you need materials and you get XP from completing levels, or sort of XP. You get like a skill point basically, which you can use to spend to learn new skills in like melee, or just your survival skills, or just your gun skills. You can see right here, to quickly touch on the monsters, like of course there's like zombies and stuff, but as Nate talked to Chris and for some insight, a lot of these take a little bit of inspiration from Indonesian folklore. So I went and did my digging, and like a few of these monsters I saw, like, okay, I can see where it comes from. Like there's the Sundeo Belong, which is kind of like a woman with long hair. That's a little folklore creature. Or there's a smaller one I think I saw running around. You might see it in here. I might have not seen it when I was playing solo, called a Jenglot, which is a voodoo doll, described. And there's a few others that appear you might see in this gameplay, but obviously a lot of interesting creatures besides just the zombies. Another thing, going back to the RPG mechanics, is at the start of the run with your friends, you can also choose from kind of like not a character, but kind of like stat bonuses to begin with, which I didn't know were random. There's 6 total, and you get to choose from one of 3 at the beginning of the game. So like first time we played, I chose like a nurse or like a EMT or something that could like heal faster. And I start with like a med kit. I played with one that's like a fireman. You start with the axe, but you like have less move speed or something like that. And all they have like the little buffs. Yeah, so this really stood out to me just because it is one of those games where, again, I was talking about this when I was talking about Starts Vicarus, where people can have different roles. Like when we were playing the Shazam and I, one of us would they were really into the melee weapons, so they were like running around with melee weapons, and I was really into the handgun here, the pistol. So like we'd like share ammo, like, oh, I'm carrying some quest items, can you take this? Or like I'll do the puzzles, you just cover me while I'm working on this puzzle and stuff. And like there's stuff for people to do aside from just running and shooting, as we talked about, that it's a lot slower paced. Something that I really love about this game is that you can see in the top right corner the mini map, as I'm dying currently, that once you discover something on the map, like a piece of loot or key item, it stays on the mini map, so you know where to come back to. If you have to go do something else in the meantime, you can. Inventory management is also a huge thing in this game. Obviously, you can see you just saw I only had 6 spots there, and so you really have to think about what you're going to take with you. If you're going to be like the heals guy, you're going to carry ammo, or you're going to carry guns, or you're going to carry grenades or Molotov cocktails, or any of that stuff. You really have to pick and choose what you want, because also key items don't just go to like a magic inventory. They are also in there. As you can see, I had like that little gemstone in the bottom left of my inventory. Like you also have to carry those around with you if you're going to use them. Another good thing for people who don't like to use in-game communications, like microphones and all that stuff, there is I didn't get to test it out here, but there is like an in-game emote wheel where you can like do quick messages, like, oh, regroup with me, or like, hey, check this out, or let's split up, or something like that, just in case you don't like using a microphone or you don't want to. This is run base, so one thing I did find out playing by myself is that you get 3 lives. It's probably total between the thing. Nate, I know you play the demo at PAX, where the starting room where you start at, you're like in almost like a summoning circle. Mm-hmm. And there's 3 lanterns in there, and those are your 3 lives. So once you die and go back to your base, you can still continue the same run, but one of those lanterns will burn out. Just to denote, like, hey, be careful next time. And all of this, as Chris had mentioned in the interview with VGG, gave me the same vibes that I felt, 20 something years ago in Resident Evil Outbreak, because that was a lot slower paced, limited communications, and it focused more on the teamwork. work together on the puzzles, work together on getting out, work together in distributing resources, all that stuff. And it stood out to me because it's a fun game with your friends, and also fun game just in general. But yeah, that's Whisper Mountain Outbreak. Woo! Check it out. Demo out now. Comes out August 11th.
Obviously, we're super excited for this one as well. Yeah, it's just so cool to see. You talked about their inspiration being Resident Evil Outbreak, right? And that game being such a cool concept, but like not quite hitting the mark, right? At the time, people definitely, felt like it was like just missing something. And so, like, again, we always talk about indies coming through and being able to finally, like, no one's making blank, so I'm gonna make it. And that's what this kind of feels like. Just to add on, like, because I had to play it solo at PAX as well. And one, I'll say, your first run, I don't know if that was like a perk for your class or something. You had like 100 bullets. That's bullshit. I had like 10.
Yeah, one of the perks you can get is to be able to craft ammo at your base.
Okay, so that must be the why. I was sitting here like, what the hell? How does he have so much ammo? But yeah, one of the things I really noted, especially you're doing these puzzles, you're slowly wandering through, is those dynamic both with the soundtrack. I love how the soundtrack really kicks up and like it makes you like whoa, like as you're doing a puzzle, suddenly you start hearing that. There's the weird little sound design things all throughout that like kind of put you on edge. Yeah, the like you said, those dynamic environmental moments, like sometimes there were some moments where just guys would just pop out of the wall or through a window or something.
Yeah, those environmental, they'll bust through windows, they'll come from the ceiling.
And it was always so stressful. The monster, I can't tell, maybe I was just bad or I was overwhelmed, but it seems, I'm just saying, it just seems a little easier in the demo now. But the thing that I was gonna say, was that one of the things I really appreciate, and I think I highlighted it in the article as well, but like you really do see it here, is that it's not a virus. It's not someone in a lab did something wrong. It is, but the reason there's monsters is not because they're like infected. It's this spiritual thing, right? It's this like born out of these cultural myths and stuff. That's just it's such a different take, and I think it's just so cool, and it adds some really cool moments, like as we saw in this footage and in some of the other trailers they released, like these you walk into a room and there's like 5 of these zombies like floating in the air above you, and that just kind of like, again, giving you the heebie-jeebies a little bit.
And some of them speak. I haven't been able to catch exactly what they say, but they'll speak to you too.
Yeah, it's obviously so exciting for us. Yeah, we're ready to finally hop in. It's coming out August, but it's in early access, so it's cool to also see it slowly grow, of course. It's funny, I was just recently talking about that, I think it was just yesterday, right, where there are people that still have their hangups about early access, but I've not seen a flop in a hot minute. As far as there's not been many abandoned games in early access, so like I don't know why people still have that. Like games like this, I think it's cool. You really get in, like you get a view of the development process firsthand, right? Like and so that's really exciting, and I know Toge are really excited about this project and are going to be really dedicated to getting this to the finish line.
And just this is always a fun touch, is that once you get the like the key item that you need to complete the mission, you'll see at the top of the screen says endless horde. So it's like that stressful, like I gotta get back.
Ooh, and
these
then
guys are not gonna stop.
You have to wait for the car to get turned on. That's cool. I didn't get there because I died. I got a horde with like 5 zombies and the big lady, and it just was too much. It was too much for me. You did it though. You got out.
I know, the little like tutorial level. Hell yeah.
No, yeah, I had a lot of fun playing this and chatting with them about it. And, yeah, I mean, I think Toge are like the masters. Oh, I assume maybe you go to the hub world here. Yeah.
So you'll see right there, 3 lanterns. Those are essentially your lives, from what I've picked up. Customize your character.
Craft. It's a really cool game, and I think it's going to be really exciting for our group. I mean, just alone the connection to, you know, classic survival horror franchises, you know, but it just being the kind of, it's kind of like it's giving the things that we love from Phasmo and Lethal and all that, but in this, you know, in a genre
Look
that
at
we
the
also
map,
have
Chad.
a lot. I know, giant. You know, in a genre that we already have a lot of love for too. And yeah, super excited. Love the cultural aspects. Love the little smack. Fern.
Yeah, it was super tense, like watching your gameplay. I kept watching that health go down. I was like, oh no. I'm excited for this one, and I definitely can see with like the inventory management and stuff, like how important it's gonna be to have friends with you.
That was
like everyone can focus on a different like what they're holding.
That was one of the things when I played the demo that I was like, I was telling the person, because they're like, oh, you almost did it. I was like, yeah, I just couldn't hold like anything. Like I you know, there was such limited space that like I was getting key items and having to drop ammo. And go ahead.
And that's another thing too, is that you just saw just now, it is isometric, but you can change the perspective, like where the camera is,
not stuck,
you know, to get better views of things, or you know, just to help you look around, because sometimes you'll, you know, miss things, but then if you turn the camera on, you're like, oh, there's something I can loot there, or a key item there. So it encourages you to like actually, you know, take in the entirety of the level rather than just the view that they, you know, start you off with.
Yeah.
Like here, the floating ones, these are scary.
And then they actually do drop. At first I was like, oh, they're just up there, and then they start dropping down. You're like, oh no. Yeah, I mean, another thing, you know, just like you said, shout out my Southeast Asians.
Shout out Southeast Asians.
Always. Yeah, cannot wait to see this come out. Shout out to Toge in general for, you know, I think they are kind of like a great, you know, showcase of what's happening in the Southeast Asian game dev scene. They support so many Southeast Asian game devs. You know, they have like a full program where they, you know, help kind of like seed new projects from new teams. And they're also making their own games. Yeah, so Toge is really, really cool, and it's so exciting to see them growing more and more every year.
Just doing like more and more diverse types of games.
Yeah. That's the other, like you know them from Coffee Talk, and then this is another game, you know, and then they have Creek's Front, which is this hyper, you know, technical tactics game, and you know, like they are not sitting back. They are doing, and it truly is. When I talked to Chris, it was like, I want this game. No one's making it right now, so I'm gonna make it. You know,
Our game.
Yeah. Shout out to Whisper Mountain Outbreak.